And welcome back, everyone. Last video of the day. I am tired. I didn't have an overly busy day at work or anything, but previous night was pretty busy. I got to bed late, got to work late. My body's hurting from extraneous activities. So I'm. It's 8:30 at night. I haven't uploaded any of my videos I've done yet. But no, look, part two of what if not Devil Fruit, the Kage Kage no Mi edition. Little housekeeping. Two main things I just want to address. Not address, but just bring up because it got brought up. Someone asked about the Naras. I am going to address the Nara clan in the reaction to Naruto's abilities later down the road. I had considered doing it as like one of the starting things of the episode, part two, but I'm like, I thought on it, and I'm like, well, it's not likely anyone besides his team and the Hokage really know about his abilities. Because his abilities actually are pretty easy to hide. It's not like he's got a physical deformity or he's, firing lightning or anything like that. It was a shadow jutsu. So it's easy to conceal that kind of jutsu. And Naruto's not technically under 24-hour surveillance a lot of times. So Danzo probably doesn't know about it yet. So basically only the Hokage and his team know about that. But would have saved it for when we eventually get to it down the road, but someone did ask the question, didn't even ask the question, brought up the point that the Edo Tensei that the Kage Kage no Mi is actually a natural counter to the Edo Tensei because your soul is connected to your shadow. And without your shadow, you go into a coma pretty much. You're technically lacking your soul to a part of your soul to a certain degree. Well, because the soul of the revived is possessing the body, and that body, that's the other soul just gets kicked out. By all accounts, if you take the shadow away from an Edo Tensei, especially during the daylight hours, you would essentially just destroy the Edo Tensei spirit and all. And then you just globble of a shadow, and you're like, okay, I'm powering up my shadow. So, yes, I was going to save that, but yeah, I might as well bring it up. Yes, the Kage Kage no Mi should theoretically be a good counter to the Edo Tensei when we get down to that. Last but not least, someone did bring up the concept of, well, Naruto could create his shadow clones, take their shadows, add it to his shadow to increase his shadow's size and power and ability to fight. The problem I see with that, and it's not impossible, is the fact that we know that shadow clones can be used for other jutsu that require you using your soul, i.e. things like the Reaper Death Seal, which requires you to offer up your soul. And we know for a fact shadow clones can be used for that. So the question is, and we know that effectively sealed the first and the second Hokage away. So the question is, do shadow clones have at least a portion of your soul in them? My guess would be for that jutsu to work, yes, shadow clones must carry at least whatever proportional part of your soul is in there. Which would mean, technically speaking, Naruto probably would weaken himself by using that technique on his clones. But because they're just going back into his shadow, I guess it shouldn't really factor in at all. He's just recycling his soul, more or less. But the problem is, I now realize what the problem with this entire thing is. Because it's probably fractioning off his soul into equal parts, including the main body, and you're not adding anything to it because the shadow, while they all have shadows, it's the amount of you're getting of that soul is just not enough. Maybe it's just because of the amount of that shadow you're getting. Maybe it's just because it's the size of the shadow you're gobbling it up. So maybe that's what's proportionally going into the shadow, not a part of the soul itself. All I can say is it is a viable technique. The kinks just need to get worked out a bit. But speaking of kinks, let's move on. That's an interesting segue. I didn't mean that. But speaking of working out the kinks, Naruto's been trying to work out the kinks with the Kage Kage no Mi. Obviously, Naruto knows that he can use it, obviously, for the quick teleportation, kind of a pseudo flying Raijin with a very limited range, comparatively. We know he knows he can have the shadow fight on his behalf too, and fight independently of him. People did bring that up, is that, yeah, the shadow doesn't just fight on his behalf and fight with him. It can fight independently of him. So there is that. We know that it's his shadow, when becoming physical manifestation, is technically immune to any standard forms of attack. The things that would probably produce light or get rid of shadows would be a hindrance to this. And he knows that he can cut shadows off and basically put people in a coma and consume them into his shadow. He's also aware of the jutsu or the technique of making puppets out of corpses, pretty much with other shadows. Good thing to bring up. No, Naruto's shadow does not, as far as I know, does not get the ability of what it consumes. That only works on from what I read, that only works on the corpse puppets he makes. By putting the individual shadow into the corpse puppet, it gains the abilities of that individual. So yeah, unfortunately, I don't believe that works with Naruto himself. Still, it's a very powerful fruit, the Kage Kage no Mi. So Naruto has been trying to work out the kinks a bit more effectively, trying to get some more range, extend it. I think one of the cool things he could probably do is probably extend his shadow through his shadow clones and get a lot more range. Honestly, I could see, again, it's kind of a little equivalent to the Flying Raijin, as it's almost like an instantaneous movement thing. Imagine him relaying his shadow in between all of his clones, just kind of like doing a quick bum rush barrage. I think the catch would be it would pop his clones out of existence when doing it, but it's really cool. Naruto's been working on these things. Trust me, the shadow comes in clutch with missions like getting Lost Cat Tora, because he can just snag it with the shadow, and the shadow can't do a damn thing to the shadow. Or you could just steal the cat's shadow. It's like, don't worry, I'll give it back. We just need the cat but just keep the cat under the blanket. We don't want him to burst into flames. Naruto will probably just grab him with the shadow. So what about the rest of the gang dealing with Naruto's shadow techniques? Sakura is probably just impressed by Naruto, surprising her that she's impressed with Naruto. But he was never this loser in the academy, or this cool in the academy. How the hell did he always have this ability? And Naruto always has to explain, it's like, no, I just ate a fruit one day, and for some reason I got it. Sasuke, meanwhile, is eating all the fruit he can find, and being like, damn you! But at least my bowel movements are fresh and loose. Because, yeah, eating a lot of fruit, most fruit has a lot of fiber. You gotta be going on that pot a lot, Sasuke. But Sasuke probably is upping his ante with his training as well. Like, how did Naruto get this strong? He and Naruto have definitely probably had spars. And while Naruto beats Naruto straight out when it comes to hand-to-hand, granted, Naruto puts up a decent fight. When Naruto is using his shadow abilities, Sasuke is immediately on edge. Now, granted, he does know he could probably use his fire-style jutsu to counteract the shadow to a degree, because he's igniting the shadow, not igniting the shadow, but illuminating the area with light that's could theoretically lengthen the shadow, but when you hit the shadow right, because it's immune to basic physical harm, but fire is not the same as basic physical harm. And the amount of light it's putting, it probably causes the shadow to rescind, so Naruto is in a little bit of trouble, but Naruto just retracts his shadow, moves it out of the way, and then he just teleports with the shadow, basically switching his spots, and then retracts his shadow. He's using it in the combination with the clones. These guys, as it stands right now, Naruto probably holds a slight edge. But because Sasuke does have techniques and is smart enough to know how to counteract, like, say, shadow-style stuff, Sasuke is probably able to actually keep up with Naruto. But when Naruto's using his shadow, particularly in melee combat, Naruto has the complete edge now. Because Sasuke's fighting two individuals, and one of them he can't do anything to. Sasuke's learning to expand his repertoire, his bag of tricks, not just using fire style, not just using hand-to-hand like kunai, actually using gasp, ninja techniques, flashbangs, smoke bombs, whatever he can use. And he can feel he actually is improving. He's getting stronger because Naruto is pushing him. And he's pushing him harder than he normally would. Or he would have been. Let me rephrase that sentence. He's being pushed harder than he would be normally in this part of the series. So Sasuke is getting a good improvement. He's actually very grateful to Naruto for this. Meanwhile, Sakura is just kind of doing her thing. They get Tora back to him. It's like, picking potatoes, getting groceries. Which, by the way, seriously, I get their E-rank missions, but seriously? No, they're D-rank missions. You have ninjas. Ninjas! The cat thing I could get. I can completely get the cat thing. I could theoretically even get the weeding the garden thing. Or even picking potatoes, because at least there's, some craft that you gotta actually, get physical. You're literally just Uber Eatsing at that point. Like, seriously, that's, you're door dashing at that point. Like, seriously, what the hell? Regardless, I think a lot of people agree too that I think they did need to up the curriculum, and not the curriculum, but like the way they balanced out the missions a little bit. Still, Naruto does have his major freakouts. Like, no, I'm a ninja. I want a ninja mission. And so eventually they agreed to agree. Tazuna comes in. I am a master bridge builder. He makes fun of Naruto. Kakashi holds him in place. You can't kill the client. No, Mongo. Never kill a customer. A little Monty Python for you there. And they head out of the village. Honestly, not too much has changed from here in the original. Eventually, they do reach the Demon Brothers. And unfortunately, Naruto does freeze up. Like, there's nothing that has happened in Naruto's life compared to the original that would change that. The only difference here, though, is his shadow can act on its own to protect him, and it does. Like, the claws come in, but the shadow comes like, what the heck is this, a shadow? And this actually snaps Naruto out of it, and he finally actually is able to realize, what am I doing? I can't be Hokage if I just freeze up like this. I swear, I'm not going to lose out to Sasuke. And so he, I can't remember their names, the Demon Brothers. As one of them breaks out of the shadow, Sasuke gets them into the chain. Naruto's finally just like, he just uses his shadow clones. They launch their shadows, and it's like, they are able to bypass the Demon Brothers just enough that the two clones come in at the suddenly reappear. So it's like, what the hell is it? They slice the Naruto clones, only for Naruto to basically take in the clone shadows. I think the key right now for Naruto to use this ability, like stealing his clone shadows, is to use it sparingly. Only like a couple clones at a time. Maybe he's practiced to find that it just really fatigues him to do so. So he just, as shadow grows, and it gets huge, and suddenly just grabs him, basically kind of like Goku's UI avatar, kind of just, what the hell? Huh? What is this? This kid? What is this? I was like, that would be Naruto's shadow, and unfortunately, you've wound up caught in it. Sorry, something popped off my desk bottom here. You've been caught up in it. Kakashi Sensei, you're alive, of course. And so they ultimately talk with the Demon Brother, or interrogate the Demon Brothers, find out Tazuna lied. It's like, but don't feel bad. My poor grandson will be crying, Granddad, I want my granddad. Oh, and my daughter will condemn the village hidden in the leaves for all time. But don't feel bad. Say, I guess we have no choice. We'll have to keep protecting you. Oh, I'm very grateful. I win. I remember that so much. Now you get to the Zabuza fight. Zabuza appears. Obviously, Naruto says, like, someone's following us. It's like, and Naruto was right. It's like, so I can see the shouting gun in action. This is an honor. And so they get into Manji formation, which actually has a double effect because Naruto has his shadow. Unfortunately, Zabuza is still way too beyond Naruto right now. Like, Naruto's shadow just won't be able to react in time. The shadow tries to come at him, but Kakashi gets in the way and stabs him. They have their clone off. And ultimately, Kakashi gets caught. This leads to him smacking Naruto in the face. And Naruto just, look, he's starting to freak out a little bit like he did before. He was able to gather his will, gather his courage initially against the Demon Brothers, but this guy's a whole nother level. And Naruto looks down, he looks at Sakura, who's scared, and Sasuke is even scared at this point. Remember, Sasuke also was freaking out too, and I think Sasuke's still a little freaked out. He's better, but a little freaked out, and he sees Kakashi, and he's about to, and he sees his headband, and he just feels his head, and he just pauses, like, and just thinks to himself, my dream is to become Hokage, believe it! And he looks on, and just charges, it's like, all of a sudden he kicks him, but Naruto disappears. It's like, huh? It's like, how'd that brat do that? And then grabs his head and then gets kicked. You're quick, Brad. I didn't see you move. But you have a weird, interesting ability. You're not a Nara, are you? No, you're that. The hair's all wrong. Interesting. Naruto, why'd you do that? We're like, we can't take this guy. And then you hear the headband. That's what he wanted. I can't remember the actual like music, but it's pretty good. Hey, you, the freak with no eyebrows. Put this in your bingo book. And the ninja who never gives up. A ninja who will be the Hokage of the Hidden Leaf. He never backs name. His name is Naruto Uzumaki. And you just see there. And, all right, Sasuke, let's take this guy down. And he just goes into Zabuza goes into basically his origin. Just handed over. He's slain many a foe. And without sound or warning, a child who wasn't even a ninja went to the class and slaughtered over 100 students. It felt so good. And he just comes in, just mollywops Sasuke. I remember he went after Sasuke at first. I think he elbowed him. Just Sasuke! Shadow Clone Jutsu! Oh, Shadow Clones. There's quite a few of them. And he just comes in. The Naruto clones gang up on him. And then Zabuza can see the shadows wrapping around his blazing. It's your shadow. How are you doing this? It's its physical form. And he swings off the Naruto's up, but then just and the clone just because Zabuza. Now, the other clones, apart from shadow clones, don't, as I imagine, have a soul component to them. If the shadow clone does at all, this is because shadow clones are very different types of clones to just elemental clones. Yes, they still can function the same way in terms of the physical body to fight, but you actually transfer information with shadow clones. This is why I think they probably have a stronger connection to your body than other elemental clones do. And so the clone disappears as Naruto takes his shadow into him, and Naruto uses his shadow honestly to launch the windmill shuriken. How is he able to make his shadow a physical? How is he able to give his shadow a physical form? As I told you, shuriken will never touch me. And then the shadow windmill the shadow shuriken jutsu with the windmill of shadows comes in. He dodges, only for Naruto's shadow to pop out of it and just come right at Zabuza, who has to just use water to obscure the shadow and he's spinning he's spinning the shuriken in his hands. Unfortunately, the clone isn't able. Naruto is like, oh crap. Now he can trade places with the shadow, so he's not in mortal danger here, but he's still like, oh. And then Kakashi gets involved. He's like, oh, all right, that's it. The mist is clearing. What do I see? Your death. And so they have it out. Haku comes in, temporarily takes out Zabuza, then leaves with Zabuza. Kakashi passes out. Bob's your uncle. There you are. Now, the interaction with Haku and Zabuza is probably very similar, but he does probably comment about Naruto here. It's like, Naruto here, because and before it's like, I'll see right through his Sharingan. But as they're like getting up, but that boy, Kakashi will be a problem, but that boy is something different. I've never seen a jutsu like that to give physical form to shadows itself. Only the Nara clan of the Leaf have been known to do anything like that, but not on that level. Not even a hand sign. A Kage Genkai, perhaps. I'll deal with him if need be, Zabuza. I can always rely on you, Haku. And so, Naruto and the gang go to Tazuna's place. They meet Inari. He's a brat. Okay, that's not fair to Inari. He suffered a lot of loss. Fair is fair. He suffered God knows how much loss. But he acted like his shit is the one that stank compared to everyone else's. Like, no, there are people who are actually suffering far worse in your own village than you. I'm sorry for your loss, but grow up a little bit. You are just, like you just said, like, I'll put it back. You look at you whining and playing like some little victim. You're nothing but a coward. And at that time, he was completely right. He was completely right about Nari. Nari was really was having a pity party for himself. It was terrible what happened to him, but when you compare it to everything else going on there, he really was not having a right to act the way he was and just bitch to that was I think the thing that really did it was that he was just bitching to them so much and yelling at them and just trying to put them down just because he thought they couldn't understand. Anyway, Kakashi gives them training, and honestly, there wouldn't be much difference with the training here. Sasuke, Sakura, and Naruto would all be training for chakra control. Naruto still needs to learn better chakra control. That's a given. I don't think Naruto's really trying to practice with Shadow at all. I just don't see a need for it. Maybe because there would be a connection to his chakra on some level, because we still got to tie, at least if there's like energy-based attacks or anything like that, or your body's able to just not produce things. I imagine chakra, because we're in the Naruto world, will play some factor to it, but it would probably be a minute factor. So there would be a combination of maybe him trying to manipulate his shadow while walking up the tree to improve his control. I ultimately just don't see much changing with that. Sasuke, again, is being pushed harder thanks to Naruto. Sakura, we know, was the best at the chakra control between the three of them. And then Naruto blows up at Inari over dinner, meets Haku in the forest. They have a good talk. And that's about it. We'll end this part right now, because remember, this is the week of What If. I got 2 more parts of this to do this week. We'll end this part with Naruto beating the 2 bandits, thugs, if you will, samurai thugs that came to attack Tsunade and Inari. And then meeting up with Sasuke and the gang. Sasuke probably does about as well with Haku, although he probably does throw out a couple extra tricks, like he probably throws out a smoke bomb at one point. Because he's throwing in a bit more actual ninja stuff, he probably does get the one up on Haku a bit more effectively here, because Haku's not expecting that kind of style of fighting, at least not from Sasuke. And again, they were fighting mostly hand to hand initially, and then Haku broke out the crystal ice mirrors, which he does here. Sasuke is getting beaten to hell, and at that point, Naruto comes in, kunai to the face, well, the mask anyway, and no, it was a shuriken, I think. Either way, Naruto appears. Naruto Uzumaki is here. So that is where we're going to leave part 2. Nothing drastic in terms of changes have happened so far. The Zabuza thing went a bit more in their favor because the shadow just adds a lot. And remember, too, Naruto, those shadows that Naruto's clone and the shadow eats, he keeps those. Those don't go away. So, technically speaking, he's just strengthening his shadow right now. Like, his shadow is just going to get bigger and stronger. Now, we do know it will start to get a little bulky if he has too much in there. So, Naruto at some point might release some shadows if it's, like, hindering his shadow's ability to move at all. But Naruto, that's probably not going to be for a while. And if we're talking about the idea of adding chakra control with the devil fruit, then that actually opens up the idea that he could probably maintain the shadow's actual form. Anyway, I digress. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, share, subscribe, and I'll see you folks for the next one. Later.